What if everything you thought you knew about Khumalo'S arrest was only half the story? Because tonight, new information is surfacing that could completely change the narrative, and if these revelations are true, then this wasn't just an arrest. It was a plan. A calculated, carefully executed operation that may have been unfolding in silence for far longer than anyone imagined. When the news first broke, it hit like a thunderbolt. Headlines flooded the internet. Social media erupted. People were glued to their screens trying to piece together what had just happened. Khumalo, one of the most talked about figures, suddenly in handcuffs. It felt sudden. Unexpected. Explosive. But now, that version of events is being questioned. Because behind the scenes, something much deeper may have been taking place. According to emerging reports, investigators had not only been watching closely, they had been preparing. Quietly. Strategically. Step by step. Sources suggest that this was not a last-minute decision. This was not a reaction. This was a build-up. A slow, deliberate tightening of the net. For weeks, possibly months, there are claims that authorities were gathering intelligence. Conversations were allegedly monitored. Movements tracked. Patterns analyzed. Every detail mattered. Every move counted. And all of it leading to one moment. The arrest. But here's where things take an even more shocking turn. Some insiders are now suggesting that Khumalo may not have been completely unaware. Think about that. Could there have been warning signs? Subtle shifts that, in hindsight, now seem impossible to ignore. There are whispers of unusual behavior in the days leading up to the arrest. A sudden withdrawal from public appearances. Reduced communication with close associates. Decisions that, at the time, didn't raise alarm, but now feel different. Calculated, even. Was it instinct? Was it fear? Or was it the realization that something bigger was coming? Because if this arrest was truly planned, then the next question becomes unavoidable. Who knew? And perhaps more importantly, who didn't? Because in situations like this, information is power. And the way information is controlled can shape everything, from public perception to legal outcomes. Some analysts are now questioning the timing of the arrest itself. Why that day? Why that moment? Was it simply when the evidence reached a tipping point? Or was there something else happening in the background? Other events. Other developments. Other stories that may have needed distraction. If that sounds far-fetched, consider this. In high-profile cases, timing is rarely accidental. It can influence how a story is received. How it spreads. How it is remembered. And if this was strategic, then we may be looking at more than just an arrest. We may be looking at a move. A deliberate shift on a much larger chessboard. And that brings us to one of the most controversial questions now being asked. Was this operation purely about justice? Or was there another layer, one that hasn't yet been fully revealed? Speculation is growing that multiple forces could have been involved. Not just local authorities. But possibly individuals or groups operating behind the scenes. Coordinating. Advising. Ensuring that everything unfolded exactly as planned. No mistakes. No surprises. No escape. Meanwhile, the public reaction has been nothing short of explosive. Across social media, opinions are deeply divided. Some are convinced that this moment has been a long time coming. They believe the system has finally done its job. Justice, at last. But others are not so sure. They see patterns. They see timing. They see strategy. And they're asking whether the full truth is really being told. Because when something this big happens, there are always layers. And sometimes, the deeper you dig, the more complicated things become. Legal experts are already warning that if these claims about a long-planned arrest are accurate, it could have serious implications moving forward. Every step taken before the arrest could be examined. Every decision questioned. Every piece of evidence challenged. Because in court, it's not just about what you know. It's about how you prove it. And how you got there. Behind all of this, there's also a human story unfolding. Families caught in the storm. Friends forced into silence. Allies suddenly distancing themselves. Because when a situation like this erupts, it doesn't just affect one person. It ripples outward. Relationships change. Trust breaks. And people start choosing sides. Some quietly. Some very publicly. And as those lines are drawn, new tensions begin to emerge. Old secrets start resurfacing. And people who once stayed silent may begin to speak. Which brings us to where things stand right now. We are only at the beginning. More details are expected to come out. More information will be revealed. And with each new development, the story could take another unexpected turn. Because if there's one thing history has shown us, it's this. The truth has a way of coming out. No matter how carefully things are planned. No matter how controlled the narrative seems. Eventually, something slips. So the question remains. Was Khumalo'S arrest a straightforward act of justice? Or was it the final step in a plan that had been unfolding long before anyone realized? A plan designed not just to act, but to control the outcome. To shape the story. To influence what the world sees and what it doesn't. For now, we watch. We wait. And we question everything. Because if this really was planned all along, then what else haven't we been told? Stay with us. Because this story is far from over. And the next revelation could change everything.